Look, I 3D printed my very own Super Adventure Box Beedog lamp. But I don't have a 3D printer. Stay tuned to find out how I did it and how you could win it. As a sculptor, I've been wanting to experiment with 3D printing for a long time, but like 99% of the population, I cannot afford a really nice high-end 3D printer. So I started looking around the interwebs for places that do the printing for you, 3D print services. And all my research basically led me to Shapeways.com. This place is super cool. So I just want to show you the type of services that they offer you and share with you my experience of all the experiments that I've done so far as I'm learning all the different materials and processes and stuff like that. So here we go. So this is Shapeways. As a sculptor coming to 3D printing, I was just thinking of it as an application for sculptures, figures, figurines, toys, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was so blown away by the huge breadth of materials and applications and products that you could make here. I mean, phone cases? You can 3D print a phone case, right? That is so cool. My favorite part of the website, honestly, are these dice. They are so incredibly creative. People are doing crazy things with these. Look at that. I mean, I could spend forever just looking at the dice section, right? People have been making cosplay costumes with it. Here's one that Felicia Day modeled. Someone made this armor that's kind of based on some Guild Wars 2 stuff, kind of some other stuff mixed in there. And there's lots of other just industrial applications for it, but you know, I'm looking at the more artsy stuff. I mean, I got this, look at this. So this is a figure, it came on a rack like this, where it's all together like that, and you pop the pieces out, and it's got all these little flexible ball joints. It's incredible to me that this is something that can be 3D printed now. So exciting. Of course, in a couple years, this is going to be laughably outdated, but for now, it's blowing me away. Now I want to show you the stuff that I specifically have been doing. So the first thing I did besides getting this cool little ball jointed figure was I got this sample pack, and this shows you, this is actually a small sample. There's several different packs you can get, but it gives you an idea of the materials, how they actually look and feel in the light and stuff. This is the full color sandstone. That's what I made the Beedog statue here out of. You know, they can do metals and lots of different plastics, even flexible ones. It's crazy. So I haven't done the flexible yet, but let me just show you what I have done. The second thing I've done, and this is because I've been teaching my son ZBrush, that's a sculpting program. I set him up with a little shop so that he can sell these little figures that he's making in ZBrush. So, yeah, that's one of the really cool things about Shapeways is they have artist shops you can set up and sell right there. And then people can buy your design, they print it at Shapeways, and they mail it straight to the people who buy it. And you get to specify how much of a profit you get from that. Yeah, it's super cool. Super fun feature. So let's get into some of the experiments that I've been doing. One of the things I'm doing is trying to figure out the best way to make these little miniature dudes for a board game that I've been working on. This is what I think is their highest detail material. You can see, you know, that's a ton of detail in there. This is not sanded down or anything. I just painted the material, but you know, you can make out individual fingers and the little striated muscles and stuff. This was a sculpture that I did in ZBrush and just got it printed at this itty bitty size. So cute. In the game there's going to be like 100 of these guys spilling out of a mountaintop. It's going to be rad. But anyway, this is the material that it actually got printed in, and it's this translucent, it's like super mega ultra frosted detail or something like that. And then as an experiment, I got them done in this much cheaper material that's just the black plastic that they offer. And so I'm going to paint these up and see, you know, what the perceivable quality difference is to decide how I want to make these 100 mutant. So yeah, this, as you can see, the black plastic, after I painted it up and compared it, you know, comparing it to this ultra fine detail, there's definitely a quality difference there. But, you know, when there's 100 of these guys all jumbled together, I feel like the cheaper one is the way to go. Another thing I'm experimenting with is jewelry. So they can print things, basically they can print anything in wax and then cast that wax into any metal. So you can have gold, silver, platinum. There's this ring I've been wanting to make for my son. We did this coming of age ceremony, and the ring that I made for him is really pretty crappy. So I've been wanting to remake this ring. Here is a brass version of it, and I just got it done to make sure that the size, you know, it fits and everything, and just get a sense for how the material actually feels in your hand when you're holding it. And it's really very cool. This is how it came from the printer. And now I'm going to give it a little aging in an acid bath here. And so you can see how that turns out. Speaking of jewelry, Shapeways, another way it's really cool is that even if you're not an artist and you don't have 3D sculpting program or whatever, they have all these different ways to make your own cool stuff. Like, yeah, just go here, check this stuff out. You can get things custom made. Again, blows my mind. It's awesome. You should go do it. So now I want to walk you through the process of how I designed and built this Super Adventure Box Beedog lamp. Just a real quick recap for those of you who aren't hip to the jive of what Super Adventure Box is. There's this little game called Guild Wars 2, which I work on. Inside of Guild Wars 2, I had this idea of making the very best April Fool's Day content that has ever existed in any game ever. So I came up with this idea of having an 8-bit dungeon, essentially. Here, you know what? Just click on this link if you don't know about it and are curious. So that's what Super Adventure Box is. What is a Beedog, you ask? It's a long and convoluted story. I'll try to make it short. Byron Miller was our QA at the time. He is now a full-fledged designer in his own right. He loved beedogs.com so much. I knew we wanted bees because I wanted little critters to collect the baubles, and then if you followed them, you would go through a maze. And so those two things just naturally mushed together, and we ended up with Beedogs, and I'm very glad we did. And so anyway, the point being, haha, did you see what I did there? Point being, I wanted to make gifts for the core Super Adventure Box team, and I was looking around for ways to do that. And we all love the Beedog, and I wanted to get into 3D printing, so I started figuring out how I can do this. So, because I'm making several of them, I didn't want to have to hand paint every one. That would take forever. So that led me to the full color sandstone material that they have at Shapeways. So the first thing I did was I took the actual game asset. This is a program called Maya that we build a lot of our stuff in, and kind of had to rearrange some stuff and futz with it a bit. You can see I tried to stick all the pieces together in a Tetris-like fashion so that when it gets printed, it's printed in as small an area as possible. That's to keep the costs down. So after arranging them in Maya and making sure the textures were all nice and pretty, I exported all that in a format that Shapeways accepts. The textures go separately, and through whatever magics they have, they can apply textures onto your sculpture. One quick note about textures, if you're making a model like this, is to make the textures very saturated, because the 3D print, the sandstone, whatever, tends to be less saturated than you expect. Speaking of expectations, one of the things I like most about Shapeways is the web viewer that shows you the previews of the piece before you print it. Here's that ring that I made. You can even fix a lot of the issues right there on the website, like thin walls or scale or stuff like that, so you don't have to go back and adjust your file and resave it and re-upload it. Very handy. Okay, so I've got all these pieces. So the first thing I do is I clear coat them because the sandstone scratches pretty easily. I just put a Rust-Oleum satin clear enamel, spray that over it. I use this Valspar stained glass spray paint to tint the bauble blue. Now, the reason I built them this certain way is because I need to thread wiring through this. So I found super cheap little LED reading lights, tore them apart to get the wiring out of them, and threaded the wire up through a tube. Now, the sandstone has advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is that it's pretty fragile. I mean, it's not like crumbling in your hands, but this stem is awfully thin. So that's why I have this metal tube in the middle here. That reinforces it and lets me get the wiring up there really nice. After tearing the wire apart, I solder it back together through the little flower tube. I use this little hand drill to drill holes and then stick pins in them. This is just hard wire that I use. And then super glue them together. And that's assembly. Okay, another thing I want to point out is the limitation in resolution. So you can see here, this is the natural print. That's how detailed it is. And it's not bad, but it's a little blurry. So I went ahead and I just printed out on my printer at home a label, just on photo paper and glued that on. So there's a direct comparison for you. And finally, I just want to mention there are some elements that just don't make sense to 3D print in the color sandstone because the resolution is fairly low compared to some of the other materials. So for instance, I'll show you on this lamp here, there's the tongue, and that is essentially an extruded L-shaped piece of plastic, which, that's something that already exists. There's styrene like that. So I just bought some styrene strips and spray painted them pink, and I just cut them off in little segments for the tongue. And there are also the antennae, which are just too thin to print in full color 3D. Another thing I like to do is play with the glossiness of the different parts. I made the wings pretty glossy with this material here, and the tongue as well. And then I coated the eyeballs and nose with clear epoxy, and that just gives them the extra watery shine. I like the natural matte finish that the 3D printing has for a lot of this because, he's like a fuzzy dog and he's in a fuzzy costume. So it makes sense for the project. So yeah, that's my experience with Shapeways so far. I encourage you to just go there and check it out, poke around like I did. I'll put a link to my son's store down in the description if you want to check out his fun little figurines. And yeah, so there you go. From my game to an actual physical object that could sit on your desk. How cool is that? All without a 3D printer. Never thought I'd see the day. But here it is. It's the day. And I'm seeing it. Anyway, like I said, I made several of these for my core teammates. And I made one extra for you guys. So if you are not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button. That will automatically enter you to win this. If you're already subscribed, go ahead and just share this video out amongst the interwebs. And just send me a screenshot of your share to breathoflifeart@gmail.com. And you will also be entered. I will go ahead and draw the winner on April 20th. Works out well. That's my birthday. At my age, it's just more fun to give gifts than to receive them anyway. So good luck, everyone, and I'll see you on the next UMATubes.